welcome back to Football Baitak episode 4, and I'm joined by Haider today. And today we'll be talking about PFF National Challenge Cup 2024. So, Aad, बताएं कैसे हैं आप?
मैं ज़बरदस्त just want to dive into the Challenge Cup and how it went. I think the overall experience would be broken down into three things, which were, of course, the matches themselves, um, the overall experience, and, of course, the players. But before that, I just want everyone to know that, what we were doing as IFP at the National Challenge Cup. And that, of course, was related mainly towards because the first concern that I had with the overall experience was there was no coverage. So with no coverage, that meant कि video analysis, data analysis was a very very tricky situation. Just आपको पता है.
ऐसे ही है.
And with regards to that, I think to go there manually and matches, कुछ matches fully देखना, कुछ का half and half देखना, but primarily जिनमें हमने data क्या कहते हैं collect किया था. For that, we had to obviously go through and manually collect each and every data for the specific players who I think you thought were good and I thought were good, and overall what we had heard of overall. And for a first Challenge Cup, I think सबसे ज़्यादा I want to start off by saying this कि I take my hat off for the players who played in that level of heat. At 2 p.m. था पहला मैच.
2 p.m. and the second one was at 4:30.
4:30.
2 p.m. वाला was
तो
crazy.
उस गर्मी में खेलना, and
too much.
to perform at that level. That level क्या, but to overall perform at that level of heat. इंसानी नहीं था.
हाँ, it was obviously looking at the PFF concerns and budget wise भी देखा जाए तो आपको नज़र आता है कि भाई they don't have a lot of money, you can say, and resources भी इतने ज़्यादा नहीं है. Especially look at the first ground. चलो जो अंदर जिन्ना स्टेडियम के अंदर हो रहा था, just ट्रेनिंग जो ग्राउंड था वो ग्राउंड फिर भी देखा जाए was much better in terms of length wise भी थोड़ा accurate था 11. But the second ground जो बेस टेक्निकली आपके बेसबॉल ग्राउंड में मैच हो रहा था तो उसके तो हालात बहुत बुरे थे. That was horrendous वैसे देखा जाए. was technically a 9-a-side pitch लग रही थी rather than 11-a-side. तो obviously अब उस पिच पर खेलना, फिर obviously resources बहुत मिनिमम थे, कवरेज बहुत कम थी, बस प्लेयर्स के लिए थोड़ा बहुत उन्हें किया होता, टेंट वगैरह लगाए होते. इवन स्टीफन वाज देयर मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम, ही वाज सिटिंग देयर एज वेल. तो मेरे लिए भी आई थिंक ऐसा ही था कि वाज नॉट वेरी इन टर्म्स ऑफ चीज़ें वगैरह कुछ खास था नहीं उसमें.
ऐसे ही है.
एंड वी जस्ट वेंट देयर एंड वी वॉच एंड क्राउड वगैरह भी तुम्हें पता है ड्यूरिंग द ग्रुप स्टेजेस इवन ग्रुप स्टेज तक तो कोई क्राउड था नहीं जितना मैंने देखा है. मोस्टली क्वार्टर फाइनल्स के बाद आना
जब बड़े मैचेस ऑफ कोर्स स्टार्ट हुए बिटवीन द बिगर टीम्स, देन आई थिंक पीपल स्टार्टेड शोइंग अप. So for the matches, what were your thoughts in general about the matches, how they were played between the teams? What did you think? What was your overall view on that?
यार ओवरऑल obviously there were a few teams जिस पर I knew पहले से भी थोड़ा बहुत मुझे पता, जैसे वापदा था, ऐसे गार्डन्स था, केरल था. तो these were the teams I was expecting to go ahead पहले से ही. ठीक है, तो वो तो नज़र आता है. Like obviously when WAPDA started playing, तो you already know that they're gonna win the match because obviously they had international players. Alamgir, you had Umar playing as right back, Sheikh Dos playing as
Hassan Ali.
technically Hassan Ali, striker खेला था वो,
and Captain Umar.
कैप्टन उमर भी था. तो they had a really good, WAPDA has on paper the most strongest squad out of any teams. बाकी ऐसे गार्डन्स I would say were very new to this. क्योंकि I've seen more of them as a futsal team. तो I think 11 साइड में अब आते हुए उन्हें खेलने के लिए
इन्होंने पहले भी नेशनल चैलेंज का पिछला वाला भी खेला हुआ था,
खेला होगा.
लेकिन this was the second challenge cup.
But overall if you look at the other department teams, कितने सालों से वो लोग खेल रहे हैं, तो obviously coming into this, but they looked not bad, I would say. Like अच्छा था. Obviously you had Murtaza playing at front and बाकी Junaid Shah at left back as well. तो टीम अच्छी थी उनकी. They had a good balanced team देखा जाए. बाकी
somewhat experience
वगैरह. The most disappointing team I would say would be Kerala. the first match against
Just
Army.
want to say that KRL has won this tournament 6 times,
Yup.
and
Yup.
is the only departmental team with the most Pakistan Premier League wins.
Hmm.
So for a result like that from KRL,
But I think we can't blame the department teams as well because, like I said, there hasn't been any football since 2018.
ऐसे ही है.
ठीक है तो ऑब्वियसली बाकी प्लेयर्स कहाँ चले गए 2018 में प्लेयर्स जो थे वो कहाँ थे
ऐसे ही है.
एंड उनको प्रिपरेशन का टाइम तो मिला नहीं है जैसे रेलवे को आई थिंक लिटरली दे मेड अ स्क्वाड इन द लास्ट 3 days बिफोर द चैलेंज का
अच्छा.
फ्रॉम व्हाट आई हैव हर्ड एज वेल
ठीक.
तो लाइक ये हालात है एचएससी ने तो भाई यूनिवर्सिटी के स्टूडेंट्स उठाकर टीम में डाले हुए थे
ऐसे ही है. And I think obviously when we talk about चलें group stages से आगे, when we talk about knockout stages, that's when you know that here the big league start. And उस big league में दो नाम सबसे बड़े हैं, of course as you said, WAPDA and Army. Army and WAPDA are a completely different ball game when it comes to knockout. उसमें फिर उनकी they show their A game, simple as that. But the team that probably surprised me the most, Pak Navy.
हाँ पार्क नेवी वाज वेरी सरप्राइजिंग एज वेल देखा जाए बिकॉज दे प्लेड ठीक है दे weren't technically very gifted. I think most of them weren't. They can as an unit as a proper stamina basis पर देखा जाए they can run they can run like the full 90 minutes even extra time में भी आपको नजर आ रहा था
ऐसे ही है.
But yeah, obviously these were surprises. But Navy, I think even group stage में आपको नजर आता they were playing well. ठीक है.
So what was your what you could say? What was your favorite match? Yeah, what like was there any specific match where you had very specific thoughts?
I think the most surprising you can say there were two matches and सारी दोनों केरल के against ही थे. The first one Army वाला जो match था Army.
Sorry,
Navy against
Navy.
yes Navy against KRL.
हाँ.
So that was like
that was the opening game.
opening game and जिस तरह के गोल खाए थे तो केरल ने couldn't succeed. The bigger shock was probably HSC versus KRL. I think वो ऐसा मैच था कि KRL should have won. Literally should have.
They should have closed.
चलो जो गोल पर है वो बहुत I think वो जैसा गोल था that could have like वो easily avoidable हो सकता था. 1-on-1 against the keeper, defense line बिल्कुल आगे है. वो सीधा ले गया और 1-on-1 तो 50-50 होता है. But that was I think overall team से से देखा जाए केरल was the most disappointing.
अच्छा, I come to expect of it. मैं Air Force से भी थोड़ा ज़्यादा expect कर रहा था. But Air Force had certain surprises. They brought in some youngsters, some 16, 17, 15-year-olds, which was very surprising.
Air Force का मेरा ये concern था क्योंकि like we said we didn't have the resources so we were covering a lot of different matches so I only managed to see one Air Force match.
The WAPDA in Air Force match.
Yeah, the only match that I saw. So obviously there were concerns as well like obviously Mamoon is a good center back. अब मुझे समझ नहीं आया tactically I couldn't understand why he was playing at center mid or CDM.
ये चीज़ हसीब के साथ भी हुई थी.
ठीक है and it doesn't make sense and he looks so off on that position. नजर आ रहा था कि he couldn't play. And the second player that was playing at front I forgot. I think that was the number 10. I'm not sure Air Force का.
Mujahid?
Mujahid. I think that was Mujahid. I think he has played for Pakistan in the previous years as well I think or maybe अच्छा perform किया but I think that guy against WAPDA what I saw was horrendous. Like I could see कि भाई अगर उसको उतारते maybe कुछ हो सकता था.
Again इस पे हमारे आपस में भी like we had a few discussions. Samad
was really good. Samad was like he's 15 I think 15 or 14 maybe and he came on and he was really good.
Also many prayers to the left back of Air Force who unfortunately uska I don't know what exact issue he has. I think he completely dislocated
उसका बिल्कुल ना like
इस side पर हो गया था. To him of course and to the Air Force team for that. But hopefully he recovers soon.
Hopefully I think it will take time but he probably would have been selected for the squad. I think coming to the most important thing the reason we were there at the National Challenge Cup was probably the players. So आप बताएं what were the players that you really were looking forward to?
So when I'm looking at players and if you know that there is a certain work of call-ups being in place, I want to see players who are composed enough for the international games. You know, ऐसे अगर इसको हम
ऐसा ही है,
evaluate कर सकते हैं
ऐसा ही है.
कि कौन से वो players हैं जो उस level की गेम्स को या उस स्टैंडर्ड को मेंटेन कर सकते हैं मेंटली, फिजिकली, endurance, game wise, overall, like just an overall thing. And for that there were a few players, of course. अब यही डिबेट आ जाती है, are they as good to start those games, या are they as good to play those games, या are they as good to come even on those games, because in order for having a strong squad you need to have players who can show up, in those games. Why do you think they're in the team? वरना subs रखने का फायदा क्या, reserves रखने का फायदा क्या? So just to you know just to kind of wrap things up with that, I think the first thing is that player composure and player endurance. Is he as good as the current team ke players? Simple.
I think because he's looking, देखो Stephen is looking, जितना मुझे idea हुआ था, obviously looking at the players that he wants, even the previous selection wise, because I've done some research on Stephen as well. When he was in India, he was looking for very young players. He wants young players so that he can bring into the national team, and he can then train, work with them, and push them आगे पीछे.
So which were the players that you liked?
Yeah, there were a few names that I already know. I was looking at Murtaza, obviously was the first of the names that I saw at Sir Gardens, because we have all heard of Murtaza. He's playing
Islamabad mein to
Islamabad's
obviously.
best. And even in the tournaments, even although Sheikh Dost scored 11, 13 goals, ठीक है, no matter जितने भी गोल मारे उसने, Murtaza I would say was a better player. Reason not because he didn't score a lot of goals, वैसे मैं कह रहा हूँ, because देखो I think his positioning is really good, ठीक है, and his finishing I think उससे बेहतर finisher तुम्हारे पास नहीं है, तो पाकिस्तान में at least currently देखा जाए, number 9 आगे खेले. It's debatable, like I said, it's debatable. देखा जाए, देखो आगे तुम्हारे पास options है ही नहीं. What do you have? Shaikh Dost is not a striker. It's a and जो उसको goals मिले हैं तो तुम्हारे सामने goals कैसे मिले उसको? Haiders मिले हैं, majority penalties है, ठीक है, उसमें से majority penalties है, बीच में एक दो गोल अच्छे थे जो उसने मारे हैं, लेकिन
बट ये भी तो देखो ना, उसमें क्रेडिट जाता है उसकी पोजीशनिंग पे भी.
Positioning,
And
Alamgir, you had Alamgir पीछे, तुम्हें बॉलें ऐसे खिलाए. अब Murtaza was making his own. When we saw him play, तुम अंदाजा हो, he was dropping back. No striker को drop back नहीं करता हमारे पाकिस्तान में, जितना भी हमने देखा हो. तो he was very drop back बहुत ज़्यादा कर रहा था, ठीक है. He was finding spaces as well. He was very lucky to score in the final, but वो हो नहीं सका. अगर वो राइट पर लेता तो वो उस पर हम बाद में आते. But I would, मेरा पर्सनल ओपिनियन है, obviously people can disagree, but I would say in Pakistan currently, अगर सिर्फ लोकल प्लेयर्स को देखा जाए, as a striker,
pure number 9
that gets in the box and score goals, I think Murtaza is probably the best that we have.
The player probably मुझे जिससे सबसे ज़्यादा सरप्राइज किया था, and I did not know about this person for, I could say, a very long time. I had no clue कि ये भी एक है. And that was the Asia Geese captain, Miru. Man, that guy was something.
Miru was really good, ठीक है. बाकी है देखो, it depends. बाकी midfielders हमने देखे हैं, we saw a lot of players, but Miru was something very different.
ऐसे ही है.
ठीक है.
Pure number 8.
If I have to put someone instead of Alamgir, I would put him.
But that's where my big question is, can Miru give the same defensive work rate that Alamgir can give?
Well, that's debatable, but the thing is, you never know if you don't give him a chance. Like, it's that situation.
असल में तैमूर बात ये आ जाती है, we can't take that chance right now. हमारे पास हमारी जो 6 जून में कितना टाइम रह गया है?
Obviously, time कम है.
देखें, जब when we talk about Pakistan football, the priority first, the first priority is to not concede.
Obviously, that's the game plan.
So we need players. चाहे देखिए, डिफेंडर्स का तो काम है गोल बचाना, बट मिडफील्डर्स और स्ट्राइकर्स का भी एट द मोमेंट, स्ट्राइकर, मिडफील्डर, फॉरवर्ड्स का भी काम है. दे हैव टू बी somewhat, I would feel, defensively better. No,
I would believe that. देखो, obviously Stephen wants that, and I think Miru was ठीक है defensively. He was, अभी जो देख रहा था, he was good. देखा जाए, and उसकी passing range भी ठीक थी, but obviously it depends on what Stephen wants. At the end of
वो
the
तो
day,
obviously that we don't
that's
know.
the end
Yeah,
question, right?
exactly.
And देखो, I would say there will be a lot of surprises in this selection team जो अब आनी है,
हाँ, obviously
because he is bringing new players into it, ठीक है? अब he is trying new things, so this is the best opportunity अगर if he selects Miru, which is a very big if. So you know, give him a chance, you know, not
at least
don't start
preliminary
him.
squad तक तो जो
हाँ,
होते हैं ना initially आपका जो
initial
35
squad होता है
45 man वाला squad होता है
हाँ
उसमें बिल्कुल I think he has a fair name in there, but of course there are so many external things besides the game that also come into play. अब वो obviously how the PFF or how he handles it is up to them.
हाँ
But Miru was obviously a very surprising name, very good first touch, knew how to make space, just like proper double pivot में number 8 नहीं खेलता. I think Miru was all that. So he's underrated. He's simply a very, very underrated player.
I
And
agree. The other player that I think the last player I think we would vote would probably might see would be I think Wakar Baloch is someone that we might be able to
I
see.
will say this,
He
and I
needs
have
to be in
and
the
I have
team.
no hesitation in saying it. He is literally the best stopper I've seen in a while.
हाँ पाकिस्तानी स्टैंडर्ड्स भाई आई
पाकिस्तानी
थिंक
स्टैट्स
ऑब्वियसली देखा
मैंने
जाए
तैमूर आपके सामने मैंने उसके स्टैट्स वो
वी वर
किए थे
बोर्ड हाँ डूइंग इट या
कर रहे थे 29 headers में
Hmm.
से 26 headers जीतना.
He is very solid at the back. He is.
So
But I
aerially,
think
he's not getting past.
looking at what the current team that we have, obviously we have obviously Abdullah Iqbal और ईसा तो start करेंगे ठीक है बैकअप पर we have Mamoon and Haseeb ठीक है the real question is that is he better than Mamoon or Haseeb? That's the real question. I would say he's genuinely
Up there.
he's up there according at least उधर तक तो है उस लेवल तक तो मुझे लगता
देखें
है
जिस मैच में केरल और जो केरल और नेवी वाला मैच
हाँ
था
I saw
आई डोंट थिंक उस 3 गोल्स की कंसीड करने में वकार बलोच की कहीं गलती थी
नहीं उसमें देखो वो तो
बिकॉज वो राइट साइड से इतना एक्सपोज हो चुका था वो साइड से उसको राइट बैक के लिए भी कवर करना पड़ा था फिर कदीर एज यू नो इज वेरी अटैकिंग एट टाइम्स उसको उसके लिए भी कवर करना पड़ रहा था हु इज ऑब्वियसली ही इज पेयरिंग लेफ्ट बैक टू हिज सेंटर बैक but Teymoor, with regards to positioning, with regards to where he knew when to be, how to be, man, I just think he's up there. Simple.
हाँ नहीं I agree but and it depends
And
on
sorry, just to like wrap things up, I do feel like he should be at least called to the pyramid.
हाँ like at least उधर तक then Stephen can see and you know what he wants but like I said I think age is a factor because he's 28 29 30
31
31 right तो जितना मैंने स्टीफन की philosophy देखी especially what he did in India तो he really wants to go for young players. He really wants to go for young
I
players.
think that's a very evident reason why Saddam
is
see
probably
Saddam
gonna
on a
be in the
regular now.
squad. So I think due to that, Miru and Vakar Baloch are very ifs, like a very big ifs. ठीक है? Due to that, बाकी ये can obviously देखो
हाँ बोलते बस
तो obviously बाकी players they are very young players जैसे और I think those people might get a chance. Same goes with Murtaza. Like he's a good player but at the end of the day he's 29 30 as well. तो अब उसका बनता है टीम में जाना ही नहीं इवन दो फरीदुल्ला इज इंजर्ड एंड उसके अलावा देन हमारे पास स्ट्राइकिंग ऑप्शंस आगे नहीं है मिकाइल अब्दुल्ला प्रॉब्ली आ रहा है बट ऑब्वियसली वी नीड समवन यू नो टू स्टार्ट अगेंस्ट उसके साथ ही तो these are questions we'll probably find out in the next few days so looking forward आगे ये कि final
but just to kind of say a few more things
sure
आर्मी का 2 players थे and also one more player from WAPDA बिलाल शेरियार बिलाल शेरी बुलाते हैं believe and he was absolutely solid for WAPDA. Hassan Ali and Bilal Sheri kept a total of 4 clean sheets which was great. He was very solid and Salman Kaka I think he was I think अगर standout player ऐसे का कोई बोलना है ना तो I think it was Salman Kaka and obviously that is the reason why you see him in the national team.
Obviously he was really good. Keeper भी अच्छा था और he saved a lot of crucial
ऐसे ही है
moments and
जो एक और प्लेयर है ये 2 प्लेयर्स शहजाद अनवर के टेन्योर में भी थे of course they didn't get that chance to play but Umair and Afzal, who were in the army team,
Hmm.
they were both fantastic. Umair तो was amazing. अलग बात है, उसकी किस्मत जरा सी off हो गई with missing the penalty.
Even army का it's very
Nizam?
fullbacks का issue आता है, like we talk about, I forgot the guy's name, but left back जो था army का, even though he didn't play most of the matches, I don't know why, maybe उसकी injury थी या क्या issue था, there were some issues, I don't know why, maybe age factor जो भी था, but he was solid obviously given his age. अब although we know हमें left back के full back के बहुत issues है, तो अब हमारे पास options कम है कंपेयर, अब मोहम्मद फजल तो आ रहा है, but obviously who's gonna be the other left back, उसके लिए बैकअप के लिए, I don't think it's gonna be Junaid Shah. I'm sorry, he's not gonna be in the squad, I don't think so. तो उसके अलावा we don't have options, तो maybe Saddam as a backup.
Inverted वही उस तरह.
तो ये चीजें I think we'll probably find out in.
How is Umar Saeed?
Umar Saeed, Umar Saeed was good. The match that we saw, he was really good in. But
fullback के तौर पे
fullback के लिए he's a very, I would say, attack-minded fullback, a very inverted fullback. अगर तुम खिलाओ तो I think
जो midfield में drop आए
हाँ, तो as a fullback अगर तुम उस तरह से देखो तो I think he'll get exposed a lot अगर ये इंटरनेशनल फुटबॉल खेले.
पर अभी इस टूर्नामेंट में तो उसको एज अ विंगर खिलाया है ना, सो
विंगर
पोजीशनल स्विचेस भी बहुत सारे देखे हमने इस डिपार्टमेंट लेवल पे, बहुत ज्यादा पोजीशनल स्विचेस भी देखे. कभी हसीब मिडफील्ड में खेल रहा है, कभी मामून खेल रहा है, कभी उमर सईद विंग पे आ गया, मुर्जा को फॉल्स नाइन खिला रहे हैं. मतलब वी आर सीइंग अ लॉट ऑफ पोजीशनल स्विचेस. खैर इस चीज को ऑब्वियसली अगेन दैट इज व्हाट Stephen and his management and his coaching staff is going to decide कि किसको क्या बुलाना है moving forward towards the final.
Yeah, final was good. We went there. Obviously, we were there and watching the match in Jinnah Stadium. Especially शुक्र है lights लगी है, पहली बात है. Amazing. Lights के साथ Jinnah Stadium looks really well, and I think Saudi against it's gonna be crazy. So the match against WAPDA and SA Gardens, yaar, obviously I was hoping कि SA Gardens might win, but it was a very close match. It wasn't one-sided.
ऐसे ही है.
ठीक है, अब जो the goal that WAPDA scored, that was a really good goal. ठीक है, वो अच्छा गोल था, and I think it was very difficult to stop that. After that, I think SA Gardens Yusuf
Another
scored.
Another player we kind of forgot to talk about.
Yusuf is gonna get selected, I think, for the national team. I think he might make it.
We'll have to see dribbling sense wise, though.
He makes sense.
I don't think there's a player near him. In all honesty.
तो उस वाले से देखो, अब तुम मुर्तज़ा ने जितनी कोशिश की है, he couldn't get the goal. ठीक है, he did try. एक बहुत अच्छा चांस आया था, if you remember in the first half. The guy took in, literally he had the chance to go for the near post. ठीक है, far post की भी option थी.
That was someone else.
Yeah, that was someone else. I think मुर्तज़ा नहीं था.
I think that was Zedi. I think that was
the guy was lefty, and he should have gone no
number
post.
33.
ठीक है, far post.
Something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the number. But yeah, if you're going on the left, I think तुम near post और सबसे अच्छा चांस मेरे पास near post पर ही है.
बस लगा.
और far post भी मुश्किल है, especially if you're a lefty. Righty होता तो फिर तो far post तुम जाते. और he's a lefty, then he right foot पर डाली और बिल्कुल बाहर मार रहा है.
Yeah, he
so
should
that didn't make sense यार. वो break and break था. वो ज़्यादा, I think that was a much easier chance than Murtaza's, because Murtaza ने जिस तरह ball control की थी, literally in the final third, I think extra time था, if I'm not wrong, right? तो अब I saw the recap again उसका ना, तो ball अच्छा control किया है. The only issue was that कि भाई थोड़ा सा time wait करके ना right foot पर मार लेता ना तो goal था. Left से, even with the left, अगर if you actually saw the footage ना, goal के बिल्कुल आगे से देखो, तो it wasn't very far off. हल्की सी उसकी ना बिल्कुल हल्की सी बाहर गई है ऊपर से. Even although हम ऊपर से देख रहे थे, हमें लगता है बिल्कुल ही बाहर मार दिया, but it was very close. So
I think SA Gardens held their ground. I think Zafar Saab ki credit to the manager for SA Gardens. I like how he doesn't really cause a lot of congestion in the center. He likes to play out wide.
हाँ.
उसको नहीं पसंद, उनको नहीं पसंद के बीच
में
बॉल ज्यादा
खेली जाए. playing very wide. जुनेद शाह वही ना, जुनेद शाह आता था लेफ्ट से अंदर बॉल डाली है उसने, और राइट साइड से भी same tactics, and just get the ball to Murtaza थोड़ा deep drop back कर रहा था.
Murtaza was probably, I think, one of the only few players alongside Zedi and a few more who were allowed to kind of hold the ball in the center. I don't think every player had
और उसको
that
थोड़ा फ्री
privilege of.
रोल काइंड ऑफ थोड़ा सा ना आगे फ्री रोल दिया हुआ था. आई डोंट थिंक ही लाइक ऑब्वियसली ही वाज प्लेइंग सेंटर लेकिन ही वाज मूविंग आगे पीछे इन द फाइनल
I see.
थर्ड. तो obviously result wasn't the best for SA Garden but they played well.
I'm happy Yusuf scored.
Obviously you
Finally, for someone of a
yeah,
player of his caliber,
yeah,
who obviously had a few assists in and whatnot, but to finally get that recognition goal in the final, I
yeah,
think that speaks volumes of a player he is.
yeah.
And of course, Alamgir and Shaikh. I think
हाँ.
when it comes down to the national team players and why they're in the national team, Alamgir and Shaikh have demonstrated that throughout the tournament. And I'll be really honest with you about something, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but Alamgir and Shaikh have ascended this level of the National Challenge Cup. I think they're a
हाँ.
bit, not just a bit, I think they're miles better than what the current competition was offering.
हाँ, obviously Alamgir and Shaikh will probably will make the squad. Obviously वो
नहीं
मसला
कोई
नहीं
शक
है.
ही नहीं है.
तो
But I
I
just to
wrap
kind
it
of
up.
say कि नजर आता है कि वो क्यों नेशनल टीम में हैं. नजर आता है कि वो क्यों स्टेप्स पे ऊपर हैं. It's evident.
Yeah.
Why Umar, आप जो मर्जी भी उमर राव को भी कह लें, but Umar Rao throughout the tournament he has
He
3
was
clean sheets.
decent. Even I saw him play. Even though देखो right back की situation obviously is very different. And obviously देखो as a right back you need to be very physically very strong because you're
वो
running
तो वो
off
है.
and he's fit as like he's the most fittest player that you can see. Even you know बाकी right backs देखो या full backs इतने fit नहीं नजर आते
He's as
आपको.
fit as they come.
हाँ.
ऐसे ही है.
He's training and he नजर आता है ना उसकी. तो I think that's why he's Stephen's first choice अभी के लिए. तो yeah it makes sense. बाकी ये कि वापदा
Just to
yeah.
wrap things up, what would be your overall say with regards to the National Challenge Cup, and then to proceed towards the camp and of course the match in 6 June?
यार आई थिंक इट वाज टाइमिंग ठीक थी ऑब्वियसली चीज़ें वगैरह बहुत बेहतर हो सकती.
एटलीस्ट फुटबॉल हो रही है.
फुटबॉल हो रही थी ठीक है. वाज अ गुड टाइम बिकॉज स्टीफन भी इसी टाइम आ रहा था एंड नेशनल कैंप भी इसके बाद लगना है. तो उस वाले से ठीक था बट ऑब्वियसली चीज़ें बेहतर हो सकती थी यू नो इन टर्म्स ऑफ द
फैसिलिटीज a
फैसिलिटीज
lot better. ये
प्लेयर्स
तो
के
ऐसा लग
लिए
रहा था वही बात आ जाती 1970s और 80s में, तो अब हम नहीं
कवरेज
है.
के लिए बेहतर हो सकती थी यार. इवन यू नो कवरेज थोड़ा बहुत कुछ ना कुछ कर लेते जिन्ना स्टेडियम में मैचेस करा लेते थोड़े से ज़्यादा करा लेते. तो they could have done more but we understand budget restraints जो भी था जो भी सीन था.
यार obviously मेरे सबसे बड़ा obviously the problem that I have was the timings. I think it's brutally unfair
हाँ
जिन timings पे
हमारे लिए कितना मुश्किल
हम
था
उस गर्मी में जिस तरह बैठे थे, मैं तो ये सोच भी नहीं सकता कि प्लेयर्स की क्या हालत हो रही होगी.
ऐसे ही है. that's true.
Those grounds are hard and grounds like उन सख्त हैं वो. उन पे पाव रखना, step out, constantly running for 90 minutes straight, it affects you physically. It's very मतलब demanding as a ground.
True.
तो वो भी साथ चले, अगर टाइमिंग्स ठीक होते कुछ बेहतर टाइमिंग्स होती, एटलीस्ट प्लेयर को इतना फिजिकली इंड्योर ना करना पड़ता. तो आई थिंक दिस इज व्हाई आई एम कॉन्स्टेंटली सेइंग दिस. एक्स्ट्रा क्रेडिट टू द प्लेयर्स who showed up at those times, continue to perform and played their heart out simply because football nahi ho rahi. And
ऐसे ही है.
the fact that they got even this football and they performed, they played their heart out, it means something.